Hello, this is Aurora Sky with Cosmic Conversations, and today our guests are Lisa and Sheryl, and the conversation we're talking about today is abortion. Is it a right or not? And I want to tell a little bit about my story. I had to get one, and I was like 19 years old, and my birth control, I guess, didn't work. I don't know if I drank one day on it or something. But let's skip forward before that. I had a baby at 17, pressured into sex, got pregnant the very first time, and I asked my doctor to get fixed, and he's like, no, you've got to be a certain age, you've got to have 2 kids, and I was like, this is my body, seriously, I can't get one. I was really upset over that. And then was a year and a half later, I ended up getting pregnant, and I could barely afford the one I had. I was already on welfare, going to school and struggling. The father left right away. And then, so I had to get an abortion, and I was already low on money at that time, and the guy didn't even help me pay for it. So to save money, I didn't even get put to sleep. It was a horrible experience. I wouldn't wish that on anybody, but anyway, I had to. And plus I just had surgery. I had a splenectomy. Yeah, I had I had staples down my stomach.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, that could have been bad too.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was a hectic few years. But and then the abortion, like, they did something wrong, and I almost bled to death a week later. I remember being at the mall, and I just started bleeding, and we went to the hospital, and they said, yeah, they didn't get all of it out.
That's scary. Oh.
Yeah, it was scary. So that was my life was affected by that. And I just think that people definitely should have a right to their bodies. Women do not have rights to their own bodies. Like, when I said I wanted to get fixed, I was serious. Like, what am I going to do? Like, sue him later on if I don't? Like, I don't understand why they do that. Like, you're going to make money from doing the surgery or whatever. So, yeah, that was hard to deal with. And then finally, like 4 years later, I think the doctor was like, yeah, we'll let you, since you went through all of this. Mm-hmm. Yeah, so that's my story. And you said that you had a chance, like, where you were going to have one. What were you saying earlier?
No, I was saying that I've had to make that difficult decision a few times in my life. Not so much a painful thing. It was just a life choice. I was young, and it happened, and I chose not to be a mother. And that was something that it's not something that really fits with my nature.
Yeah, that's fine.
And I had to make that choice. And personally, I don't regret it. It was the right choice for me at that time. And the next 2 times after that, for reasons I won't get into, it's just a long story, but needless to say, it was the right choice. And I'm just glad that I at least have that choice, that I had the option. So I can't imagine being in a position where I find myself pregnant and freaking out because I know I shouldn't have let this happen. Yeah, that was the mistake right then and there. I should have taken some precautions. At least you were trying to take precautions, and something went wrong. I was actually married. And so I wasn't taking precautions. We were doing what we would do, and it happened. And you think to yourself, when you find out, God, what do I do now? I shouldn't, do you have all these regrets of, I should have been more careful and all this, but going forward, you still have to make that choice going forward. And that's the choice that I made. So, but I can't imagine that if I was forced to have a child when I just wasn't emotionally ready for it or wanting to.
How it's going to affect that child's upbringing. Yeah.
Right, and I think that's the question that some people are asking, but the people who are so completely mindlessly pro-life, they are just so stuck on, well, we're going to save this child's life, in the womb, which is the only time they're going to care about it.
Right.
Is when it's in the womb. But as soon as this child is born, we no longer care that that person didn't want the child in the first place. And, now they have to raise this child, and they may not be, and not just financially ready, but emotionally ready, or old enough, or just so many variables that really it's none of their business to even, the pro-life people, I mean, it's none of their, it's just not their business.
I thought about having someone on that's pro-life, and I'm like, I don't want a big argument, and we already
It would have
know
just
their
turned into
stance.
it, yeah.
We already know their stance, so there's that too. We need the other side, we need to hear our story.
It's very egotistical from my perspective, and this is just my opinion, that a lot, I would imagine the great number of pro-life people are Christian, a lot of them. And to me, it just comes across as very self-righteous ego trip. I am a good Christian soldier. I've saved this soul from being murdered. And then they wash their hands of it and walk away. Now this child is born, and they want nothing to do with it. Now, now all of a sudden they're in the camp of cutting welfare and not helping with
mental health,
anything. Is wash your hands of this whole life now. But you were so gung ho about getting it into the world, and it's their argument is very, very selfish, ego based. Yeah, extreme. That's my opinion. Obviously everybody's going to have a different opinion, so I'm just sharing mine. That's how I see it, because I don't see them even considering the after effects, the effect on the woman, the effect on society, the effect on everything.
Yeah, let's say that it's the whole United States. It's legal. Imagine just how overpopulated we're going to be, and how things are going to start getting scarce. Unloved children. I go down to the park sometimes and meditate, and I'll hear this woman with her 5-year-old daughter cursing her out. I mean, it's like, really? Why did you have a kid?
Why did you?
If you're going to treat them so badly, it hurts my heart to hear that. I just want to go up to that kid and hug her. Yeah.
I have a good idea. I think a lot of people, whether they're, everybody has different levels of, how much religion they practice and if they practice, and it's, it's pretty ingrained. I mean, we're a Puritan society. That's where we started. We, came here because of religious persecution. That's part of our history, and so most people here are very religious, and it's just a taboo. You're not supposed to do that, it's just, and I've also heard this aspect, and I don't know if other people have heard this as well, but there's some people that think that because Planned Parenthood a lot of times is in inner city neighborhoods and in poorer areas, that they think, because it's a complicated topic, but it started as what was the woman that started Planned Parenthood? I cannot remember her name, but she believed in eugenics, and so it's been skewed from that to say that that Planned Parenthood and abortion clinics have been put in to eliminate minority groups, which that is just not true. It's just not. I mean, I'm just gonna put it out there. My idea as to why it's in the inner city a lot of times is because it's more easily accessible to people. And it may have to do with, because maybe the population is poor, but it has no. I personally don't think it has to do with race or anything.
No.
I think it's people in the suburbs tend to have a little more money.
Have access to better care
Yes,
automatically.
they tend to have a little more money. They may not need those abortions because they've got the support system or the money or whatever to help them make that happen. People in the inner city tend to be a little, not as well off, maybe not have those family systems, and so the abortion clinics, Planned Parenthoods, I hate calling them abortion clinics because that's not all that they do.
Right,
they
and
do,
it's such a misnomer.
Yeah, I mean they do breast exams, they do wellness checks, they do all
Pap
kind of,
smears
yeah.
and uterine exams.
Birth control in general, you know, they do so many things. It's just they have the clinics where it's needed, but there's still like so many, you know, most people are religious, and I think that
They're
definitely,
closed-minded.
yeah,
Yep.
and you know, and it's like it's sad because it's like you said, it just they don't the long-term consequences of you know, telling somebody, oh, you can't do that because, you know, this religion says you shouldn't do that.
That's a whole other a whole other show about religion and how it closes our minds.
The reason that we even brought it up, though, is because
Yeah.
a great number of the supporters of pro-life, it's a Christian-based
Yeah,
push.
yeah.
You know, it's that base that's pushing this a lot. So that's basically why I brought it up. It is their motivation to save life. And I'm not saying that it's wrong to want to save life. It's just misguided.
Yeah.
You
Well,
know?
what if my religion says that abortion is okay? Like, I have rights too. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
We have freedom of religion here, which means you can practice whatever religion you want. That's the whole reason why our country started here was, you know, one of the big reasons, you know. So it's like people forget that they don't understand the roots of where our country, you know, came from. I mean,
We should be a pro-choice country just based on the Constitution alone.
yeah,
You know, freedom to express, pursuit of
What was
happiness,
that
etc.
meme that you posted that I said we need to mention?
It was about how even though we're gonna, you know, they're trying to get rid of abortion, they're still gonna fight tooth and nail to be able to keep their semi-automatics.
Which can
So-
kill many at once. So that's
Yeah.
okay.
So basically this, you know, them being anti-abortion is it's not about saving lives,
No,
it's about control.
It is.
Because men can have how
It
many
really
kids
is.
in 1 year?
Yes.
365. They can get 365 women pregnant, but
Yeah, we're
women
not
can
talking
have
about vasectomy
one
at all.
in a year. Yeah.
And it's in all of the burden, all of it. Like the I mean, like there may be some guys out there that are willing to take on the responsibility of, you know, birth control and all that, but it's so far and few in between. I have never been with a man who has wanted to be responsible for that. Honestly, never, ever. It's always on us to do that, you know.
That's
And
cool.
it's like,
I've noticed.
yeah, I mean, and it's like it's our responsibility, but yet when we want to make our own decisions, they're like, no, like
Yeah.
no, I'm sorry, but you can't have it both ways.
I love how the same pro-choice people, the pro-life people are just all gung-ho about, you know, banning abortion as much as possible with like a 5-6 week cutoff limit, the heartbeat bill. And they're all gung-ho about that, but these same people will stand in line and picket any idea of birth control in the first place.
Yeah.
God forbid you want to hand out a condom and prevent this from occurring in the first place, or, you know, making birth control available to the public. That honestly, I can't for the life of me fathom why these things are not just free to the public whenever it is required.
Yeah.
I can't understand that. If I was, and I'm not running for any government office, but if I were in charge, I would absolutely try to work something out where birth control is a given. That is just free.
Yeah, I'm sure it's like 10 cents to make, literally.
Yeah,
I had a friend the other day, she's like,
absolutely.
oh yeah, I gotta go pick up my birth control, and my insurance ran out, so
I
I
mean,
gotta
I'm
pay
talking
cash
about-
for it.
Giving it away in school nurses' offices from this, you know, whatever grade you're 11 years old to, and I mean, that's horrible that an 11-year-old would be having sex, but let's face it,
It's happening.
it's there.
Yeah.
You can't stop nature.
Mm-hmm.
And I think a lot of these people that are, you know, pro-life and all of this, and they've got this thinking that they can control nature itself, and you can't. Your daughter, your son, they're gonna go out and they are absolutely going to have sex whether you like it or not. And they're gonna do it a lot. Because we are here to procreate.
Yeah,
In the brain, the body, our chemistry.
Yeah.
It is designed to put us in that position whether we like it or not sometimes. Because you get lost in that moment. And every part of your body, all your brain chemistry is in that moment. So to say that, we make these laws to kind of circumvent nature, you really can't. What you need to do is have some wisdom, some discernment, and understand this is nature. So let's work with nature.
Yeah.
And granted, birth control is probably not necessarily working with nature. I mean, the hormonal imbalance and all that can mess you up.
There's other ways.
But there are other ways. There's education. There should absolutely be a vital education in the school system that discusses sex ed on a deeper level.
Yeah, mine was in 8th grade, and it was so it was an hour long, and we didn't get to ask a lot of questions and stuff.
No.
Yeah.
It was so basic. It's just this is where you put it. And put a condom on it if preferably because there's these diseases, and they try to scare you from sex rather than educate you on sex.
Yeah, I agree.
And consequences. But I'm getting off the topic. The point is that it should be available and it should be free. If they truly want to save lives and they want to help people, then prevent the woman from getting pregnant or help her to prevent getting pregnant in the first place with education and access to birth control, counseling, like these Planned Parenthood centers. That's what they're for. And they're under attack because they consider that they're setting them up to be murder centers for babies. And that is completely
No, it's a holistic situation there. And I think maybe part of I think it would be a good part of the puzzle to maybe resolve or help with that situation is, like I said, involve boys, men in that. It takes two people.
Yeah. I totally agree.
We cannot be fully responsible for everything. We're just not.
Right.
It takes two people, and I think that's part of the problem. You know, it's like you have these religious leaders, which majority of the time they're men. They have never even had to deal with any of these things.
And government leaders too.
Yeah, exactly. None of them. Yeah, you're
I know
right.
that
Rooms
some has
full of
paid-
men trying to make decisions.
The other woman to pay them. Here's the money for an abortion, so my wife doesn't find out.
Right. Yeah. It's a convenience. And
And
they're
also-
against it because it helps their political career. But when they actually need to use it, then they're like, okay, let's do this.
And let's also mention all the men that take off after they get the woman pregnant. That's happened in my case. My father left, my mom, and her dad. I just know so many that they don't take responsibility after that. And the state doesn't really go after them. He did so many under the table jobs that he didn't have to pay. And I just started getting child support again. He owes me $18,000 back child support, and thankfully he just started paying, but I really could have used that one. We were really, broke. And it was either should I get my car fixed or do we have food this week?
That's another part of the system that
Men are
they're
not
thinking
responsibility.
about.
Yeah, they're not thinking of this stuff.
No.
Well, it's because they aren't made to, ever. I mean, of course, I've thought about this before that, I just don't think they're as connected to their bodies as we are.
Yeah.
In the same way. Because we have to. I mean, from the time we hit puberty, stuff starts happening, and we have to learn how to, use it, take care of it, make sure everything's good. Boys
pH balance.
Yeah, exactly. Boys, they get boners and it's fun. It's not a serious situation for them, And I think maybe it's an attitude shift that needs to happen there to let them know that there's a yin and the yang in life, and you are part of that, and you can't just make decisions if you're not going to be a part of that, But I mean, ultimately, it is a woman's decision no matter what, though.
Yeah, the problem is the lawmakers are the men that don't understand a woman's body, and not just the physical body, but the mental state too. The emotional aspect of being forced to carry a child to term when You weren't ready for it. You already feel bad that you made that mistake in the first place. Okay, we get it. There is a life growing in there, and that is a really horrible choice to have to make. But that's on me.
Right.
That's on you. That is not the business of anyone else. Especially, okay, if anyone has a say on it, it's the man that assisted in the process. You know what I mean? But absolutely not some strange person sitting in a pew on Sunday and then doing God knows what else on Monday, telling me what to do on Tuesday. You know what I mean? I don't know you, I've never met you, but here you are picketing to control my life.
Yeah.
You know?
I just, in those cases, it's just like, I feel like a lot of them don't even practice their own religion. It's like, you know, did you forget about, hey, that verse that says, judge not lest thou be judged.
Oh, there's a lot of hypocrisy.
Or those without sin cast the first stone. Like, did you forget about those verses? Like, you are not perfect, and nobody is, you know, but you should not be able to be making life decisions for somebody else. It's not your place to do that.
There's a lot of cherry picking.
And they have like a weird, they have this idea in their head that we're the selfish ones for making this decision. When in reality, it's the complete opposite.
It really is.
Because it's like, they have not had to sit down and think about all the aspects of raising a child.
The after effect.
Yeah, like
not at all.
what happens to your body, how you're going to feed that child, how you're going to clothe that child.
Because they're not going to.
Yeah, how you're going to raise that child.
Right.
I mean, that's essentially why I had to make that decision. I was like 23. I grew up in an emotionally, this is an interesting side note. So I grew up in a very religious home that was also very emotionally and abusive and physically abusive. So it was a weird mix of hypocrisy, you know, it was just terrible. It was terrible. And I, you know, when I was young, it took me a long time to heal myself from that situation, from growing up that way. And when I was 23, I was with a guy. I loved him greatly, but I still was very, very poor because when I left home, I had nothing. I had no support. I was on my own. I was with this guy. He was a great guy, but he was also somebody who grew up in a very bad childhood situation, and and I think that's kind of why we came together to help each other heal. But he had really, really bad anxiety, super bad. I had to call the ambulance several times for him. And in the middle of that, us both being poor and neither one of us emotionally, financially, anything able to handle that, I got pregnant. And he had told me even before, I got pregnant that he didn't want children.
Right.
And I was just I felt lost. I was like, how am I going to do this? I can't do this on my own. And he clearly cannot handle this. He can't even
handle himself.
He can't even handle himself yet, and I felt like I had no choice. I did what I thought was best in that situation because the only option I had at that point in my mind was to go back to my abusive parents to help me raise this child. And I was not going to put my child through that.
Yeah.
I was still trying to heal myself. There was no way I was going to do that. And I'll be damned if anybody tells me that I made the wrong decision there.
I wouldn't tell you that.
I did not make that decision out of being selfish.
Right.
Because I would have wanted that child under different circumstances, but I just was not blessed with the right circumstances. That's all there is to it. And for somebody to tell me, no, I don't think so.
And it wasn't an easy choice to make.
No, hell no. I was super upset I had to do what I did, you know? But you know what? That's why you were saying, they only care, to help you bring that child into the world.
Force you to, not even help you to.
Yeah, exactly. Force you to. But you know, it's like, and you know, and my mother was you know, part of her child, you know, why she was the way she was
Mm-hmm.
because she grew up in an abusive home as well,
Mm-hmm.
and had to live part of her life in an orphanage.
The cycle of abuse.
Yeah, and you know, and she had to, all of her siblings were split up, and she would tell me what happened to some of her siblings in
Wow.
these foster homes
Oh,
and
yeah,
all
I've heard
this
a lot about-
stuff.
Yeah,
And the foster
system.
homes, that's the next issue afterwards, isn't it?
And I
You
was, and you know, and all that stuff is going through my mind. I'm like, I
Yeah.
cannot,
Yeah.
I don't trust the system.
Right.
I don't trust my parents. This guy that I love cannot handle this.
Mm-hmm.
I did what I had to,
Mhm.
you know? Like, it wasn't something I wanted to do, but I felt like I had to do. And if honestly these, you
Right.
know, these people really, really care, they need to stop voting for people that don't want to help the people, you know, government-wise, like,
Mhm.
you know, social services and
Mhm.
all of those things. That can help somebody who wants to keep their child to keep their child, you know?
They really do shoot themselves in the foot. They think that we're doing this great grand thing, and we're doing the right thing, and it's the best for people. I don't understand how they tell themselves that. It's not. All the facts point in the completely opposite direction. You're not. Honestly, it seems to me you're only thinking of yourself.
Yeah.
You're only gratifying your own self-righteous beliefs in what you think is right, and you're forcing it upon everyone else. But these are this group of people is the same group of people, and I mean pro-lifers in general, Christian or non-Christian. These same people will completely be thrilled by grabbing up families at the border, you know, several months ago when this was happening, and you know, you can see the hypocrisy already.
Yeah.
And literally, I've heard horror stories, and it's just unbelievably, not just heartbreaking, but like anger-provoking.
Yeah.
Where families were torn apart, and children were placed in these detainment centers, literally in cages. And don't try to tell me they were not. We've seen the cages. We know that they were kept like that. So these same people will cheer that on and be okay. Yes, that's great.
Yeah.
Those children shouldn't have been brought here anyway. Those parents were putting those kids in danger, crossing the border. So too bad for them. Where the
Yeah, we all need to work
is
together.
your
This is such bullshit.
compassion for life? Where's your
Yeah.
heartbeat now?
Yeah.
You know, you wanna worry about heartbeats. Consider your own. You know.
And let's be technical here for a second. At 6 weeks, there is
Right.
no heart. That is a lie.
Okay.
Like, there are
Right.
heart cells that
Mhm.
automatically, like, you know, have that beat, but it is not
Right.
a heart. That's two different things. Like, a clump of cells that like goes like this
Legal
is
wording.
not a heart.
It's all about legal wording. They're loopholing us to death is what they're trying to do.
Yeah. And people believe it, whatever they see on TV.
And those same people will be like, okay, so it's okay to just be like, oh, they had it coming. Even the little, really, the 2-year-old who's begging not to be separated from their mother, that baby had it coming.
Right.
But that same person will then take, you know, their next picket sign, their pro-life sign. Now they're all of a sudden pro-life, and be like, well, now we care about what happens to fetuses. It's
Yeah.
easy to care about a fetus because you don't have to feed it. You don't have to do anything about it. You don't have to care. You don't have to clothe it. You don't have to
Hypocrites.
support government agencies that will assist in finding them a place, or, you know, whatever process. But I don't know. It's just it's to me it's just completely hypocritical.
Mhm.
So.
I think we're gonna wrap it up. It's probably been long enough.
Oh.
Loose, you know.
So
Gotta keep
I
it
had
short.
some information that I brought. I thought you might want to share with your viewers real quick, in
Okay.
case anybody wanted to. Like there's this one, how to donate to states with abortion bans, but mostly in Ohio they have here womenhaveoptions.org.
Okay.
And specifically for Ohio, I don't know if you can promote anybody. I should probably mention that.
I would
Are you allowed
say,
to
yeah,
mention? 'Cause this is-
womenhaveoptions.org, and what do? You go to that website to
Yeah,
donate?
it's just not, well, you could donate to them, but if you find yourself pregnant and you happen to be in Ohio,
Okay.
womenhaveoptions.org, they provide financial assistance, support, transportation, housing, any kind of, support to the woman that, if you qualify for that. I'm not quite sure what the qualifications are, you can find that out online. But if somebody is from another state, and you happen to be watching, you're from another state, there's abortionfunds.org, and then you go on abortionfunds.org, and they give you a list of all the states that have different organizations that help you.
That's awesome.
With that process.
Yeah, that's perfect. I can always put in a link down below
Yeah,
to the different
okay.
websites.
Yeah, because right now, as the law stands, you can still have an abortion up to within the Roe versus Wade determination. These new laws they're trying to force on us, they've been passed, but they haven't been implemented because we're in the middle of trying to fight them.
Yeah.
So they're kind of being held up. But right now, today, you can still find assistance. You can still find the clinics. You
Thank
can still
goodness.
get help.
Yeah.
So we're just in the process now of talking about it because this is becoming an issue and it's in the forefront, and we want to stop it
Before
it gets.
crazy.
Yeah, exactly.
Well, I thank you all for coming on. It was a great conversation.
Thank you.
Appreciate it.